Hello everybody, it's Josie here. I am going to be doing my wrap up today for the Queer Lit Readathon. So the readathon ran from the 1st of December to the 7th of December, and I love the Queer Lit Readathon. It's my favourite readathon. I'm all about the Queer Lit, so it's a mandatory, right? No, I love it. It's amazing. And I love Kathy's channel. They are amazing, and I love what they do with this readathon. So I'm going to be talking about the books that I did get through. It was quite an ambitious list, I'll be honest. I didn't get through all of them, but I will tell you what I did, and then one kind of snuck in that I hadn't talked about. So the first one I'm going to talk about is a book that I talk about quite a lot, is Lost Souls by Poppy Z. Bright. So this book is dark. It is about vampires. It was written in the 90s, in the early 90s, and it is beautifully, poetically, lyrically written. It's the kind of writing that I really love, but it is also very dark, not for the faint-hearted, quite gory in places, trigger warnings for rape. There is, there's a lot of darkness, but it's so beautifully written, and it just, for me, captures that desolate, gothic, vampire sentimentality that I kind of associate with the 90s. And you've got Molokai, Twig, and Zilla, who are these three very enigmatic, wild kind of punk rock goth vampires. It's very gay. It also has Ghost and Steve, who have this band called the Lost Souls, ? And Ghost is a gorgeous character. I love Ghost's character. He can kind of, he has second sight, so he gets premonitions, he has dreams, he can see things that are coming, can see dark things. Steve is very lost. There's a really bad relationship with him and his ex-girlfriend in here. There's a lot of kind of loneliness, desolation, alienation, finding your tribe, real kind of, I suppose, teen angst as well, but I really kind of connect to this. I love it. I've loved it ever since I've read it. Like I said, this book and all of Poppy Z. Bright's Overture is not for the faint-hearted. You've got to be able to take some blood and some difficult scenes, but it's gorgeous. I love it. It will always be a 5-star read for me. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a reread. Then the next book I read, this was actually a new read. So this is Adaptation by Melinda Lowe. I've read two of Melinda Lowe's books previously, Huntress and Ash, which I loved. So Ash is like a Cinderella fairy tale retelling, but queer. This one is kind of sci-fi, well, it's not really, is it dystopian? In a way, sci-fi dystopian-y. So you've got the main character whose name I completely and utterly have forgotten. Reese, yeah, sorry, I had to think about that. So Reese is the main character. She is on a school trip. That's where she is. I think they're at the airport on a school trip, and all of a sudden they look up and they see these reports of planes crashing because birds are flying into the planes and it's making the planes crash. And the government has sort of said, okay, we're grounding all planes, nothing's going in and out. If you need to travel, you need to travel by road. So first of all, can I just say, I read this book right before I went on a plane journey. That was a bad life decision. But anyway, I'm not a nervous writer. I actually really love flying, so it didn't really bother me. But I just thought, if you're about to go on a plane journey, maybe don't read a book about planes crashing everywhere. Anyway, so they get in a car and they kind of drive back to where they should be. I think they're in California. Or they should be getting back to California. And there's a car crash that happens, and she wakes up. And she's different somehow. I don't want to say too much because that's going to kind of give away the storyline of the book. So yeah, kind of, like I said, it's a little bit dystopian. It's sci-fi. Reminds me a little bit of Roswell, if that helps. I don't know about this book. So the premise I should have liked, but I think I wasn't too fond of the execution for some reason, even though I loved the other two Melinda Lowe books I read. This one it felt quite young to me. I really felt the YA vibes of this. There is also, so Reese is bisexual, and I think that's why I picked this book for bisexual main character. So she has her old crush, who is a boy, and then she meets a new girl, and that's quite cute. I mean, it is total insta love. It's literally, I saw you, I am in love. Very kind of YA in that regard. But yeah, there is a second book. I guess I'm not going to read the second book. This is, I really struggle. It's 2.5, maybe 3 stars. It's not bad. It just didn't do it for me. Then the next book that I may as well, while it's not doing it for me. The next book that I kind of started to read, and unfortunately I sort of DNF'd and then moved on to the other book that I'm going to talk about, is Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters. And I feel really bad for saying that because I've actually watched the series, the TV series, and I love the TV series of Tipping the Velvet. But the book, I think I have to accept that historical fiction is really not my thing. What I've done this year is I've read so many books. I've read over 200 books, and I think 250 at this point. And I've really started to hone down on what I like, because I was buying and picking up literally anything and everything and just reading it. And then kind of, I'm really trying to figure out what it is that I love to read. And historical fiction is not it. There's maybe 1 or 2 books that I've read that fall into that historical fiction category that I do like. I'm not a fan of kind of the dense prose. I'm also not a particular fan of classics. I know that makes me an absolute Philistine. There's, again, a few that I like, but not many. I attempted Great Expectations, and I was bored. So I like consuming this in the TV series format. I love it. I mean, I love the story, but as a book, yeah, I think I'm going to have to it's a great cover as well, but I think I'm just going to have to let it go. I've just decided. So what I did, I DNF'd that, and I picked up sort of the complete opposite, which is this book, The Never Tilting World by Rin Chapeko. This is brand new. I had just bought it. I finished my TBR, so I've been buying in a couple of books. My goal is never to have more than 3 to 4 books on a rolling TBR. So my goal for 2020 is to get books and read them, and not do what I've done in the past, and I've built up a massive TBR. So I bought this book, and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to read it. So Rin Chapeko, I think, is more famous for the Bone Witch trilogy. I haven't read that, but I'm definitely going to pick it up after reading this. So this is, I guess, YA, again, sci-fi dystopian. So you've got this world, and it's kind of separated in two. So you've got one that's perpetually in ice and snow and cold, and there's no sun. And then the other one is kind of desert and dry and sun all the time. And you've got these kind of ruling, so on each side of the world, you've got a ruling goddess and her daughter. And it is so good. I really enjoyed this. So what I would say is just pay attention to the beginning, because what I did was, so the chapters, they alternate between perspectives, so between the 2 teenage goddesses and the 2 worlds. So if you can look at that closely, that's a sun, right? And then you've got other chapters that have a little moon, if I can find one. Hang on. Of course, I can't find one now. There we go. So that one has got a little moon. So you do have to pay attention to that, because in the first couple of chapters, I was like, what? But of course, we're switching between the 2 worlds. We're switching between the 2 girls, and we're switching between their 2 experiences. And what they're doing is, the reason the world is like this is it was shattered, pretty much. And there's like this chasm in the middle of the world, and they're both kind of being drawn to that, and they're both traveling to that, and most of the book is them kind of traveling to it, kind of magic and fighting and different relationships. There's 2 relationships in here. There's one that's a male-female relationship, and then you've got one that's a female-female relationship. I love them both. They were great. I actually really liked the male-female relationship. That one was great. But this is, I really liked it. I loved the idea, again, that women ruled this world, that you had the goddesses. It just, that really speaks to my heart. I loved all kind of the magic. I loved the sort of sci-fi dystopia element. It reminded me a little bit of Mad Maxy. So you had kind of like modern mechanic-y type stuff with this sort of otherworld realm. I really liked this book. I liked Rin Chapeko's writing style. Yeah, I found it great. And I love, so the quote in the very front of the book is, "A demoness is what men call a goddess they cannot control." I just think that's great. A demoness is what men call a goddess they cannot control. And I love that, because you've got these 2 ruling goddesses in this world. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. This is like a 4, maybe even a 4.5 star read for me. I think I'm going to read it again. I like it. I really liked it. So, yeah, Tipping the Velvet. No, this, yay, liked it. So that was a book that wasn't on my original TBR that kind of I slotted in. And then the last book that was on my original TBR, and is also a reread for my December rereads, is The Lost Coast by Amy Rose Capetta. I tabbed it this time. I hadn't tabbed it the first time I read it. I just kind of consumed it and enjoyed it. I tabbed it the second time. There are so many beautiful lines in this book. So, I mean, I've talked about this a lot, but if you don't know what it's about, it is about queer witches, basically. So you've got this coven of witches called the Greys. They're teenage witches, and they are in a town in California. And what I love about this is, and they're described as, you've got a real diverse cast of characters. So you've got someone on the ace spectrum, you've got bisexual character, you've got lesbian character, you've got a girl who's trying to figure out who she is, you've got characters of color. It is so amazingly diverse, which I just love. And I love about Amy Rose Capetta's books anyway. But I love the writing in this as well. It's really interesting. You have each chapter, it tells you whose perspective it's from, and it's from a different character. It can sometimes be from the collective group, the Greys, it can be from the students, it can even be from the trees, which I just love. And there's so many just beautiful, while I'm talking, I'm trying to find some of the quotes that I've highlighted, but there's so many beautiful quotes and writing and moments in this book. And yeah, I mean, I'm rereading a lot of the books that I've kind of classed as some of my favorite books of the year, and this is definitely up there. I love it. Yeah, I adore this book. It's 5 out of 5 stars again. And it is everything that I want in a book, which is magic, witchcraft, friendship, queerness, diversity, romance, female romance. Yeah, and beautiful lyrical writing. So yeah, this is my favorite book. So that's it. So that's my wrap up. Again, thank you to the hosts. Wonderful readathon. Had a great time. Cannot wait for the next round. And I will speak to you all again very soon. Bye-bye.